How you doing, Jersey? I'm here in the Newark offices of the Star-Ledger. This is the office of editorial page editor Tom Moran behind me, and I'm here to check up on Tom. I'm here to make sure he is not feeling feverish or hasn't been hit on the head. It's my understanding that he is writing a column about South Jersey political boss George Norcross, a guy that he has criticized over and over again over the years and once described as a walking symbol of all that is wrong with New Jersey politics. The column he's writing right now apparently praises George Norcross as a blessing for New Jersey. We gotta go see if he's okay. Tom, I'm here to make sure you're okay.
All's well.
I have gotten word that you are writing a column praising George Norcross.
On balance. He looks at the dark side, but it judges the good work he's doing in Camden as more important.
The good works of George Norcross.
The good works of George Norcross.
Can I take your temperature?
Maybe you ought to take your own so you don't have a heart attack on it.
All right. Yes. Let's talk about this. Changing your tune completely about South Jersey political boss George Norcross.
Changing half my tune. I mean, he still does a lot of bad things in New Jersey politics. He's had ill effects. He's made money much more important. He's an unelected guy who controls like about a quarter of the legislature, and that's not comfortable in a democracy. So there's still that side of George. In fact, even this year, he's done a couple of money grabs in the legislature. Well, this year there was one money grab. It didn't make it, but his business partner tried to get a bill through that would have made them enormous money and remove some consumer protections. So he still has his dastardly side. But what I'm arguing is that over the last 3 or 4 years, he's done such remarkable work in Camden that outweighs it in my mind. I kept reading this stuff of good things happening in Camden, the most desperate city in New Jersey by far, arguably the most desperate city in America, highest poverty rate, 60% of children, highest crime rate. And he's made tangible differences in people's lives on crime, on education, and on health care. So,
How so?
okay.
Crime.
On crime, Camden began as the most dangerous city in America and then lost half of its police force because the union would make no concessions in the face of a budget crisis.
So they create a county police force.
Yeah. What he basically did is killed that whole police force, create a county police force that is really only Camden. So it's the same, it's union busting, old school union busting, if you ask me. Justified, I think, by the emergency in public safety.
But that is amazing that we can talk about a guy like that in New Jersey who's not an elected official.
Yeah.
As the guy who disbanded a police force, basically.
Yeah. Well, of course, he needed the governor
Right.
to sign on. Again, he makes alliances. That's a lot of his strength.
Education.
The innovative thing that Norcross really did was establish Renaissance schools, which are a hybrid between charters and normal schools. So he went to the places in Newark, he went to the very best charter chains that are working miracles in Newark, and said, come to Camden. The way these schools work is they take all kids from a catchment neighborhood area. So unlike charters, it's not just for the families that raise their hand and say, we want something better. It's for everybody who lives in that neighborhood. So it answers the chief complaint against charter schools. And they are building new schools and spreading all over, and these are teams that are proven.
This is stuff that you've written about George Norcross. Crazy Uncle George, the Dark Lord of the South, a walking symbol of all that is wrong with New Jersey politics. Does that stuff that you're talking about him doing good make up for all that? And
well, look, yeah, I think it does. I mean, I think Solzhenitsyn has a great quote where he says, the line between good and evil runs not between nations or even between men, but down the center of every man's soul. I think with Norcross, you have a good and a bad side. So it's a question of doing this. How good is the good? How bad is the bad? So the bad kind of stuff he does, raising tons of money from people who have public contracts in New Jersey. He didn't invent that, and he's not the only one who's doing it. That's happening all over the state. It's bad, but
perfected it and brought it to another level. And how much has that cost taxpayers over the years? We can't estimate that in bloated contracts.
Good question. I don't know, and that has cost some money, and who knows. Now, put yourself in Camden. You're talking about the most desperate place, maybe east of St. Louis. And he's making tangible differences, not unlike some downtown development. Healthcare, crime, and education for poor people. I give them I tip the balance is tipped for me.
We cover all these politicians over the years, and you and I have covered them, and we've seen people that we talk to every day hauled off in handcuffs and sent away to jail.
Yeah.
But all of them, most of them, on some level, you do know that there's some good that they did.
Well,
And a lot of times, I have found that they sort of justify their own benefit and their own personal gain by saying, maybe I got rich myself, but look at all the good
I
did."
think you see a lot of Thanksgiving turkeys. I don't think you see a lot of this. I'll give you an example. Joe Ferriero, who in the end finally was convicted, but then it was expunged, the conviction. Bergen County boss, controlled everything, turned it from Republican to Democrat, raised a ton of money, did pay to play. A lot of the same stuff as Norcross did. He did nothing good with all the power he accumulated. And I think that of my experience with bosses in New Jersey is that most of them are like Joe Ferriero. They're mostly about gaining power. And they'll give out Thanksgiving turkeys because they have to justify it. But I'm not seeing a lot of political bosses that are doing genuine good like Norcross is.
Wow. All right, I'm going to call off the paramedics.
I'm so sorry to do this to you, Brian. If it's any comfort, I've had huge fights
Don't
with
say
the
I'm
guy.
sorry. Wait till the comments. Wait till you see the comments in the story.
I've had conversations with George, where he's saying obscene insults to me, and I'm giving it back to him and slamming the phone down. I mean, it's not as though I'm looking at it, I don't understand this.
All right.
It's a big moment for me.
All right, Tom Moran, read the column, Sunday Star Ledger, and NJ.com. Take it easy, Jersey.